Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 3, Episode 15, A Quality of Mercy, written by Rod Serling and starring Dean Stockwell as Lieutenant Cattell and Lieutenant Yamuri, which I'll get into as we go through the episode. So we get told right up front that we are in 1945, and it's near the end of World War II, and basically there are some Japanese men in a cave, survivors, and there's a group of American soldiers waiting, to take them out when they get the orders to do so. And one of the soldiers is Leonard Nimoy in a small role, so that's pretty interesting and cool. And so this new man does come. He's a new lieutenant, Lieutenant Cattell, our main character, and he's taking over the platoon. And you can tell he's very, much in a hurry to go in and just wipe out all the enemies. And the other man, a sergeant, one of the other men, is not in such a hurry. He explains they've been out there a long time, and they're tired of killing, which is understandable. And, he tells Cattell, you're one of those guys, straight out of the university that's anxious to just go in and, kill everybody because you don't really know what it's like. So the whole rest of the first half of the episode, these two continue to basically get into it. But Cattell, you can tell, is just very determined at all costs to basically go in and wipe everybody out. They get into a big argument. He insists that all the enemies must go because that's what you do in war. And he gets so upset he drops his binoculars. But here's where the twist of the episode comes in. When the binoculars are picked up, he is now a Japanese soldier named Yamuri, and he's on the opposite side of the war in the year 1942. And I have to say, I don't think there was any other way they could have done this to use the same actor for both roles, but it's very odd seeing Dean Stockwell, Lieutenant Cattell's character. He just doesn't look really Asian at all, but I guess there was nothing they could do about that. So after you get over that idea, he basically has no idea where he is. He's asking who he is, what the date is. They think he might be sick with a fever or something. But finally he figures out that he has to play along. For a while he insists he's not Yamuri, but he will be left behind, if he's not able to go on. So he figures it's best I just go along with this. So what we find out is they are getting prepared to attack Americans in a cave. So it's a similar setup just earlier in the war. And his commanding officer, wants to go in and just kill everybody. The same attitude that he had when he was in charge. So he actually suggests, maybe we can bypass them. Maybe we can have them surrender because they're weak and they can't really do anything. Now, these were some of the suggestions given to him in the first half of the episode that he wanted to hear anything about. And this commanding officer's the same way. He doesn't want to listen to any of this. He just says it's war. We have to wipe them out. That's what we do. So, they wind up leaving Lieutenant Yamuri behind, and his commanding officer says, you'll be dealt with when I come back. So he now realizes how he was, and he sees things from a different perspective. So we go back to 1945 at the end of the episode, and you can tell that Cattell has a different mindset as his expressions have changed. But before he can really order anything one way or another, we find out that a bomb was dropped that will end the war. And all of Lieutenant Cattell's men are very happy about this because, they'll be able to go home. But Cattell realizes that something far more serious has happened, and you can tell he's very distraught over this. So he's completely changed because he saw things from, both sides, both points of view, which I think, there's a good lesson behind this. It's good to, see things from all point of views before you rush into anything, no matter what the situation. Now, you might say this is a little bit of an extreme situation to make this point, and I would agree with that. I think that's a fair thing to say. I don't know if war is really the best backdrop to make this comparison, but I get the point, and it's a good one. And it's a message that's still timely. I do think that the episode suffers a little bit from the first half of the episode is basically just setup, which we need. I don't think there's any way around that. But in the second half, we basically see the same scenario again, just from the opposite side. And I get why that was done, but it doesn't make for the most compelling thing in the world to see the same story basically played out twice with just some slight alterations. But overall, this is a decent episode, which makes you think. So ultimately, I give A Quality of Mercy a 2.5 out of 5, and you can check it out if you want. It's probably worth a one-time watch. So 2.5 out of 5 for Quality of Mercy, and as always, thanks for watching.